AEW Dynamite in Cleveland. Its Ohio debut was sort of wasn't terrible, it just was nothing special. Let's get into it. This is All Elite Review. What's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to today's edition of All Elite Review, where today we are going to be talking about the episode of Dynamite from Cleveland, Ohio, the Ohio debut. Woohoo! My thoughts on this episode, it was, I mean, there wasn't anything abhorrently terrible, it was just kind of unremarkable, I guess you could say. Not really much to this episode. It did further some storylines though, so that's always good. And there were some good bits too. It's just there wasn't anything spectacular. And I think one of the reasons why is because it was really lacking the pizzazz of the Bash at the Beach and the Rock and Wrestling Rager. The settings for those shows. But this was still a solid show nonetheless. It wasn't anything like spectacular or anything of that nature. It was just, it was still pretty solid though. It was just, like I said, nothing spectacular. But let's go ahead and get into this, get this over with. The show starts out with a promo from Jon Moxley, who of course comes out from the crowd. And of course, he got a huge pop from the crowd, considering the fact that he is an Ohio boy. Even though this show's in Cleveland, he is from Cincinnati, Ohio. So basically starts out cutting a promo on Jericho, basically talking about some of the shit that he had done in the past, like from his WWE exploits. And he basically calls Jericho out, says, "Come out and take your ass whooping like a man." Jericho comes out to confront Moxley. And basically it's like, go to hell, and all that stuff. And then Jericho brings out some 5 other dudes, apparently from the Bronx. So there was that. And Moxley's like, oh, there's 10 of you. And then Ortiz walks up and says, you're not getting away this time. You're not escaping from New York this time, Kurt Pliskin. Because Moxley has the eye patch on. It makes him actually look like a pirate. Or in this case, Kurt Pliskin. Or Snake Pliskin, as it were. But Moxley headbutts Ortiz and hits him with a paradigm shift, and then just goes after the inner circle. And Atlas Security basically had to come in and break them all apart. So this was a pretty good start to the show. And then we get our first match on the show, a tag team match between the number 3 Young Bucks and the Butcher and the Blade. Highlights of this match, Young Bucks with their Gamengiri, hit a Gamengiri and a missile drop combo on the Butcher. Nick hits a double stomp on Blade's arm with Matt holding it. The Young Bucks with their hip toss backflip drop kick on Blade. Butcher comes in with a double lariat. Nick hits a super kick on the Butcher. Blade hits a Pescaro on Matt Jackson. The Butcher and the Blade hit their side slam leg drop combo on Matt. The Butcher and the Blade hit a double gut buster on Nick, which looked really good. And the Blade hit a sit out gut wrench powerbomb on Nick for a 2 count. Matt hits a flying crossbody on the Blade. Matt hits a Shiranui on the Blade and then a super kick on the Butcher. Matt hits his dynamic elbow drop on the Blade for a 2 count. The Young Bucks hit hanging swanton for a 2 count on the Blade. Hit a super kick party on the Butcher, and then they hit their Meltzer driver on the Blade for the 3 count and the victory. After the match, the Butcher attacks the Bucks, but then Omega comes down and hits a V-trigger on the Butcher. And the funniest moment of the entire night happened right here when Hangman Page comes down. He's carrying a beer. He gets up onto the apron and he looks over at Matt, hands him his beer, and he's like, "Hold my beer." You know, that whole "hold my beer" thing that goes around on the internet. That was funny as hell. And then he hits a buckshot lariat on the Blade, and the crowd just absolutely fucking went nuts. Like I said in the previous review, I think they finally found the missing piece to Hangman Adam Page. Because, like I said before, it seemed like he was over with the crowd, just not as much as some of the other guys. And it seemed like there was something missing from his character. I think they finally found it with the drunken cowboy kind of thing, because he has been over as fuck as of late. So that was pretty cool. This match was still pretty good. I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. The next match was your obligatory women's match. It seems like they get the second match on the card. It was number 1 Nyla Rose against Big Swole, and Simon Miller, basically gave this match a down on his Ups and Downs show. Basically like, this is just 2 random wrestlers just being thrown together here. It might not be as random as you might think. Maybe if y'all have done some research, then you wouldn't look like a bunch of fucking nupties. And you're asking yourself, well, why would you say that, PackerMan? Well, let's take a look at this, okay? Let's look at Nyla Rose here, who is now the number 1 ranked wrestler in the women's division to challenge Riho for the championship. Okay, well, she's in a match to defend that number 1 spot. And then let's look at Big Swole. Now, she's unranked right now, but let's look at her record. From her past 2 matches, all resulted in victories. Her past 2 singles matches have been victories. So she's on a 2-match winning streak. So, in storyline, you could look at that and say that the higher-ups were like, oh, this Big Swole is on a 2-match winning streak. Let's put her into a match against the top 5 ranked wrestler and see what she can do. And who else than the number 1 ranked wrestler? And if Big Swole wins, well, that's 3 in a row, and that would shoot her right up into the top 5, theoretically. So this pairing is not really as random as you might think, if you look between the lines and do some actual fucking research. Come on, people. It's not that damn difficult to do some research. Now, if Simon Miller would have given a down for this match because it wasn't that good, then I would have understood it. But his down just made absolutely no fucking sense. Because he based his down on how random, the matchup was, when it really wasn't that fucking random. I don't know. But, yeah, this match was pretty sloppy. It wasn't really that good, to be honest. There were some highlights, though. Swole's basement dropkick, Nyla with a lariat. Swole goes for a penalty kick, but Nyla blocks it and trips her on the apron. Swole goes for a forearm shot, but bonks her arm off the post when Nyla moves out of the way. Get a commercial break. Swole puts on a guillotine choke, but Nyla gets out of it. Swole with a nice scissors kick. Oh my god, that looked really good. Swole hits a springboard cutter for a 2 count, which looked really good. Hits their wheelbarrow flatliner. Nyla hits a spear that looked kind of half-assed, to be honest. But then Nyla hits the beast bomb, which looked good for the 3 count and the victory. So Nyla Rose remains in the number 1 spot. I give this match 2.25 stars out of 5. Next up is a singles match between Superbad Kip Sabian and the number 3 ranked wrestler Cody. Sabian had Penelope Ford at ringside, and Cody had Arn Anderson at ringside. So, highlights of this match. Kip Sabian would hit a shotgun drop kick and a fireman gutbuster right at the beginning of the match, not wasting any time. Cody hits a nice scissors kick and a drop kick. Kip Sabian hits a penalty kick. They go to a commercial break. Cody hits a lariat, a 10 punch, and a snap power slam. And he hits a disaster kick for a 2 count. At this point, Arn Anderson gets into it with the referee and gets thrown out. Penelope Ford gets involved and hits a Frankensteiner on Cody. And then Kip Sabian hits a somersault plancha onto Cody. And then a funny moment happened here when Kip and Penelope were going to smooch. And who pops up from the crowd and gets in between them? Joey Janela, of course. And Kip and Penelope kiss either side of his cheek. And it's just like, what the fuck, man? Kip pulls back and realizes what happened, and Joey was like, "Woo!" Joey Janela is fucking funny, dude. And Kip takes a swing at Joey, but Joey backs off and goes like, Janela's a fucking character, dude. He really is. And then Cody takes advantage of that and hits a tope suicida. They both get back in the ring. Kip hits a hanging suplex. Then they both go up to the top rope. Try to do moves. Kip tries to do a superplex. Cody kept blocking it. Kip drops down to the apron, but then springs back up and does like a, I don't know if it was kind of like a headlock takeover, but he takes his arm and basically shoves Cody off the top, and then tries to go for his Deathly Hollows, his inverted Samoan driver finisher. Cody counters out of that, ducks the lariat and hits the Cody cutter, and then Cody goes all full WrestleMania 2000 special mode, if you played that game on the N64, where he busts out not one, not two, but 3 crossroads for the 3 count and the victory. So this was a damn good match. Kip Sabian, I mean, you know, he's a very underrated wrestler in my opinion. He's got some skill. So I honestly think he should be given a push once they get a secondary title. And they really need to get a secondary title because, I mean, there are rumors going around that Brody Lee, the formerly Luke Harper, has signed with AEW and maybe making his debut in Rochester, which is on the 18th. And when you hear rumors about guys like Brian Cage and Lance Archer that may be signed with AEW as well, Cody, it may be time to bring that secondary singles title into the mix. Seriously. Because, I mean, we can't have everybody go for the top prize, which is the world title. You know, we need to have a secondary title stacked. Alright, and then Britt Baker comes out for a promo, and she's dressed up all real nice and shit. Now, the previous week, it didn't feel like she was into her bad guy persona as much, and she wasn't really sure of herself with her promo. That wasn't the case this week. This week was a lot better. Tearing down Tony Schiavone and also started verbally attacking JR. And then at the end of it all, she was like, Cleveland, congratulations! You all have a Baker that you can trust in. I see what you did there, clever girl. She's obviously referring to the fact that her last name is Baker, and she's obviously referring to Baker Mayfield, who's the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. So kind of, you know, wordplay right there. That was actually pretty clever. And then the Elite is interviewed backstage, where basically they're saying that next week, they're going in Huntsville, Alabama. They're going to be in an 8-man tag team match where it's the Young Bucks and the Omega Cowboys, the tag team champions, taking on Butcher and the Blade and 2 partners of their choosing, and it turned out to be the Lucha Brothers. So, I mean, it actually kind of makes sense because the Lucha Brothers have been longtime rivals of the Young Bucks, and who's been the only team to hang a loss on Omega and Hangman Adam Page so far since the 2 teamed together? The Lucha Brothers. So it all makes sense, you know what I mean? And then Hangman comes in and gives the Young Bucks nameplates, you know, the nameplates that you put on the championship belts, and say, hey, you might need them. You're probably going to need them one day, sooner rather than later. Which kind of annoyed the Young Bucks a little bit, but, you know. Hangman Page is fucking awesome right now. Alright, next match is a tag match. The number 1 contenders right now, SCU versus the Hybrid 2, which we haven't seen all that often. I think the Hybrid 2 should start getting a push as well, because they're a very underrated tag team. Highlights of this match, Kazarian with an arm drag and headlock takedowns on Angelico. Kazarian with an Oklahoma roll for 2 count on Angelico. Scorpio Sky hits a basement drop kick on Angelico. SCU with a penalty kick German suplex for 2 on Jack Evans. Evans hits a nice tornado kick on Scorpio Sky. He does that really well. Angelico with a drop kick on Sky. Evans with a rolling kick on Sky for a 2 count, which looked really good. Evans hits a nice super kick to Kazarian, and then Sky hits a suplex on Evans. Kazarian comes in and hits a drop kick, a hip toss neck breaker, a scissors kick, and then a slingshot cutter on both of TH2. TH2 hits a back suplex double stomp combo on Kazarian for a 2 count, but then SCU hits their SCU later on Angelico for the 3 count and the victory. I gave this match 3.5 stars out of 5, and SCU maintains the number 1 spot. One thing I noticed from this show tonight is that all of the ranked wrestlers won their matches. You had Cody winning his match, you had the Young Bucks winning their match, they were ranked number 3. Nyla Rose and SCU win their matches, they're ranked number 1 right now in their respective divisions. So I would suspect, so it was to be expected that all of the highly ranked wrestlers would win tonight. So, but after this match, Dark Order shows up on the Titantron, basically warns Christopher Daniels that, you know, you made a huge mistake and we're going to be targeting your friends, your family, you know, and all that shit. Of course, this may be a swerve because the Exalted One, which is apparently is the true leader of the Dark Order, there are a lot of rumors going around that it may be Marty Scurll, that it could be Brody Lee, and there's some that still suggest that it could be Christopher Daniels coming back in his Fallen Angel gimmick. Who knows? But hopefully we'll find out sooner rather than later. And then we see a Pac promo where he basically talks about, you know, Kenny Omega, you know, and his winning his rubber match, and how he says that Kenny is going to make a match for him on his own time, but Pac says that he is going to be out for blood next week. So really good promo from Pac. And then we have our main event, a 6-man tag team match with Private Party and Darby Allin going up against the Inner Circle, which in this case was Chris Jericho and Proud and Powerful, who have been undefeated as a trio, by the way. Highlights of this match, and there were quite a few of them. Allin hits a drop kick and a sky high arm drag on Y2J. Cassidy hits a tornado kick on Ortiz. Private Party with their double team offense on Ortiz, like the camel clutch double stomp combo. Only got a 2 count though. Quinn with a drop salt on Ortiz. Ortiz hits a nice missile drop kick on Quinn. Quinn with a Frankensteiner on Santana, which causes him to spear Ortiz. That spot always looks cool. Cassidy with a pin combo on Ortiz, and then a victory roll on Ortiz for a 2 count. Jericho hits a springboard drop kick on Cassidy while Cassidy was on the apron. Classic Jericho. Santana with a suplex on Cassidy on the floor, and then an enziguri on Cassidy. Santana hits the 3 Amigos and then does the exchange suplex with Ortiz and then Y2J on Cassidy. Cassidy hits a rolling schoolboy on Jericho for a 2 count, but then Jericho hits a lariat on him. Santana with a pendulum backbreaker on Cassidy. And then the Inner Circle does an assisted somersault splash. Jericho comes in and hits the Lion Salt, and then Ortiz hits the Dead Man drop on Cassidy for a 2 count. Cassidy hits a Frankensteiner and a dropkick on both members of Proud and Powerful, and gets the hot tag to Darby Allin, who hits his shoulder ride stunner, Tope Suicida, and a Yoshi Tonic for a 2 count. Cassidy hits a crucifix bomb on Ortiz. Santana with a rolling cutter on Cassidy. Allin hits a coffin drop on Jake Hager. Jake Hager. Tags into Quinn beforehand, who does a somersault plancha onto Proud and Powerful. Well, actually, tags into Cassidy, I should say. Cassidy hits a swanton bomb on Y2J, only gets a 2 count. And then Jericho hits the Judas effect on Cassidy for the 3 count and the victory. So your winners are the Inner Circle. This match gets 4 stars out of 5. Afterwards, the Inner Circle attack Private Party and Allin after the match. They took Allin's skateboard and basically did the spot where it looks like he crushes his windpipe. And then Moxley comes out with a baseball bat and basically starts fending off the inner circle, starts hitting them all, hits Hager with it, and then hits Proud and Powerful and Sammy Guevara with the baseball bat. They all bail from the ring. And we learn that next week Ortiz is going to be going up against Jon Moxley after what happened at the beginning of the show tonight. So that was your Cleveland show for AEW Dynamite this week. Like I said, it was an alright show. It wasn't anything spectacular. I'll give it a solid 6 out of 10. Like I said, there were some good spots on it. Nothing abhorrently horrible. And no Nightmare Collective, so that's always good. But, and also as far as the Wednesday Night Wars are concerned, Dynamite had a little over 800,000 viewers, and NXT was staying pat right where they were, about 700,000, a little over 700,000. So, yet again, AEW Dynamite gets a victory in the Wednesday Night Wars. So, if you're keeping track at home, AEW leads 12-3-1. 12 wins for AEW, 3 for NXT with 1 draw. And that's how it is after the Cleveland show. But that'll do it for this edition of All Elite Review. Next week, they're in Huntsville, Alabama, and it's also when we're going to see the second of Cody's stipulations. The first one, of course, he can't touch MJF until Revolution. That's already been in effect. But now he has to deal with the second stipulation, which is taking 10 lashes from MJF on live television. So we'll have that to look forward to next week. So that'll do it for All Elite Review. Thank you very much for watching. Here are my updated rankings after this week, and I will see you again next time. So take care, and this is the PackerMan signing off.
You better like and subscribe or face the consequences. You have been warned.